to the Almost Daily Zencast, an almost daily audio blog ramble-a-thon talk radio style podcast for your brainwave entertainment. Hosted by your favorite fictional characters in books that don't exist yet, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. On today's episode, congratulations, you made it through the first half of 2020. Let's take a moment to belabor that point. Not to belabor the point, but to savor it. Hello and namaste, friends. Thank you for tuning in and welcoming me into your ear holes to hang out with you in the center of your mind. That's the way I imagine it, because when I listen to something or someone, I sort of experience them in my head, right? Don't you? Doesn't everybody? Don't we all do that? I do that in a sort of open-ended, the audience out there, from like an on-stage, blinded by the stage lights perspective, which I have real-life experience with, right? Having had the occasion to be on stage for various reasons, in various locations, in theaters of various sizes. In the spirit of appreciation, I wanted to kick off the show with something that I don't do very often, but when I do, I feel silly about it, but I mean it sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I want to send special greetings and salutations, or a shout out, as the kids say nowadays, to the people from all around this great living womb of ours that take the time to listen to my show. From these beautiful, faraway, flung, very distant places, according to the analytics panel on my Sprecher.com account. Obviously, the United States makes up about, it's currently ranking at 63% of the audience, but the remainder is a mysterious other, standing strong at 7.35%. Wherever those places are, other. All you people and or artificial life forms listening in unknown, undisclosable locations, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys. Not the least of which, of course, I only get a list of 10, and I wish I had a little bit of a bigger breakdown, but here it goes. Thank you, everybody listening from Cyprus. A jolly greeting to everyone in Australia, as well as those folks downloading the show in Paraguay. Hello to whoever's listening in South Africa, which is right in the middle of the list. Then we got Germany and Canada, and France and the UK. And coming in at a strong second to the United States, India. Hello and namaste, my friends. Truly a diversely disparate audience that this show is ever so gently accruing, and I want to thank you. If you've listened to more than one of my episodes from any time frame in the 3 years I've been posting relentlessly here, I hope it was worth listening to. I hope it caused you to question and or consider things from a different perspective, or double down on, figuring out what your own perspective is. We should pause always, I think, right? And connect to the given moment. And what is this given moment that we find ourselves in as a collective? Well, I can only speak to you from here, behind the orange wall, from the awkward and kind of scrubby elbow of the empire known as Trumptopia that is Southern California. We are the scrubby elbow of the nation. But at least we're not the armpit. I don't know how that works out, but Florida is the armpit of the world. But that's not my real opinion. That's just me trying to be rude under the guise of comedy. Ha! Something we all at some point do in our lives. "2020, well, a lot can be said. Yes, a lot can be said about 2020, and I don't think it would be unfair to kick off the list with weirdest year ever, just in terms of everyone in general experiencing weirdness together. And obviously, there's a lot of tragic things going on. And never do I ever mean to belittle anything that's going on in your world that I may not be aware of, that I may not have lots of information on, and that I obviously, anything that I can't see, that I can't know. But it feels like that together, as a community of communities, we are definitely encountering some interesting challenges at a kind of universal level. If we use the humanist sort of, all humans are the only thing required to fulfill the definition of universe for something to be universal. Obviously, there are far-flung reaches of our visible cosmological swimming pool of things and stuff and probably other life that don't have the foggiest idea what's going on here on planet Earth. And vice versa, right? Are you getting the news from some other planet? I'm not. There are those out there that claim to, but I'm not going to touch that can of worms. Not today. Perhaps another day when we don't have 20 million other things to worry about. I myself have been experiencing, the impacts of all of this from a place of great safety, which I'm deeply grateful for, right? It's a hard thing to encourage the world, or everyone in it, to be full of gratitude when times are tough. And I guarantee that it is not lost on me, while it often can be assumed to be lost on most, that wherever you're at, wherever anyone is at, wherever I'm at, wherever whoever is at, whoever they are, whoever you are, there's probably people who have it a lot worse. And there's probably people that have it a lot better. And what you focus on and what kind of energy you bring to it may or may not truly matter. That's one of those questions, right? That divides the world in a deep, deep way, and provides for a lot of lack of clarity, I think, also, because we live in a society, we live in a universe that's mind-boggling and weird. Let's start there. I started with society. I realized I needed to back up. I also needed to realize I needed to back even further up and share with you a personal anecdote. Oh, that startled me. Sorry. I feel like an idiot. I'm on the air. I forgot the air conditioning is on because it's been a scorcher of a day, but I kind of try to balance my use of air conditioning, right? Because, I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot, and I don't know. It's all relative. But I forgot it was on, and it just kicked on, and the door was not, it was ajar. That's one of those phrases. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. The door was slightly open, abridged. I almost said the door was slightly abridged. The door was which might be technically correct, but sort of meaningless in this context. The door was slightly cracked open, and there's definitely an airflow direction that goes out the door in this room. And the door closed and startled the living bejesus out of me. And now I'm forced to talk about it live on the air on my podcast as if it was meaningful. Have you ever noticed sometimes in moments like that, when something just sort of gets at you, that as an experience, those kinds of moments can alter your headspace. They can alter your inner dimensions in ways that you forget are palpable, are measurable, are maybe not describable, because we don't have words to describe the sensations we experience. And we could probably dismiss them as subjective phenomena that don't indicate anything. But that would be closing a really big door, right? Because if you write off all subjective phenomena as being inherently meaningless, the way some people would write off all dreaming as subjectively subjective and probably a mishigas and clusterfuck of nonsense plus a little bit of data processing of actual perceived imagery plus your brain being a thing that does imagination, whatever the fuck that is. I digress. Another pin to put on the wall, something to come back to. There's some interesting stuff to be discussed in that area, is my humble opinion. Because we don't consciously, as a society, address our headspace very directly, unless we have some exposure to meditation, mindfulness, and or entheogenics, aka spirit drugs, if we can label that, as opposed to party drugs. Although there's some crossover, right? Another rabbit hole not to go running down right now, right this hot second. Personal experience. Right. So, things that have been weird for me this year has been, well, it's a weird list, and we can spend too much time on it. But I very recently sort of experienced my body doing what it needs to do and sort of giving me guidance or instruction, as it were. Many of you have probably trashed your voice, right? Too loud on the roller coasters, or too loud in the discotheque, or too loud, just speaking too loud, yelling too much. You don't even have to yell, really, right? But wooing and hooting and hotnoring too much at your favorite band, or whatever. You talk yourself hoarse, and then so I'm not unfamiliar with that, but I also wasn't being mindful enough, vigilant enough, diligent enough. And last week, I found myself talking a lot. I was trying to ramp back up with the podcast, make it really, truly almost daily, as opposed to more like almost not. And talking on the phone a lot, socializing on top of it, something I don't do very much, etc. And not being very mindful about my voice, like letting it be in theater mode without proper warm-up and work towards that making sense. which is a serious thing, right? Like, not that I'm an athlete, but if you heard of an athlete that foolishly just jumped right into playing games without spring training, without any warm-up, just walked off the street after being on vacay and played a game, and lo and behold, they got injured, would you be all that shocked? You'd be giving them shit, right? You'd be mocking them openly for walking into that injury because they did it to themselves. That's why you work out. That's why you train. That's why you flex. That's why you not flex. That's why you stretch, etc. Stretch and flex, if you think about it. It's why you listen to the physical therapists and your trainers, etc. Well, in the area of speaking, public speaking, speaking daily, doing theater, if you want to call sitting in my office lounge, my home office, which I'm blessed to have and lucky to be able to hang on to for now, knock on wood. That was, oh my God, that was actually plastic. That does not count at all, knock on wood. That nothing too tragic or horrific happens between now and this time next year. And I was semi-conscious of the fact that I was straining my voice. It locked up over the weekend, and I could not. And it just hurt, like it rage hurt. Other things were going on, not the least of which was both good and bad, which was I had been on a cannabis fast. Like I wasn't microdosing, I wasn't smoking at all. And then I think it went 2.5, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more. I really didn't write anything down in the calendar, and those 2 weeks flew by. At any rate, also dealing with exposure to some caustic chemicals for other reasons I don't really want to get into in the show, and generally living in a toxic world that we've built. And this is horrible. And this is one of those things. Sometimes I'm like, why do I talk about it on my show? But giving into one's struggles is, we have to, the things that we struggle with, giving into the actual acknowledgement of it is never an easy thing. But I have long been a smoker who knows he should quit, but didn't want to. And then became a smoker that wanted to quit, but didn't think he could. A smoker of cigarettes, right? Not of cannabis. Cannabis heals, yo. Right now, my favorite meme, although I haven't reposted it, my favorite meme is the one about how did you survive 2020? It's like, I just kept smoking weed and it kept working, man. I don't know. But yeah, so too many things combined. And the fact that talking and trying to be funny and trying to do voices and trying to being loud, unnecessarily loud. Like I could be recording this and not be talking so fucking loud. And doing it without taking the time to do real professional level, which I haven't. I basically slow roll through my morning routine and try to podcast after breakfast and getting dressed from one pajama bottoms into another. Because, what am I? But an unemployed actor. Like, do I need to put on real clothes? They're uncomfortable. That's terrible. I hate calling myself such horrible things, but that's one of many things I could be labeled. An underemployed and or yet to be discovered performance artist. Ooh, that's worse. Blah. Theater visionary. See, that's pretentious. What do you call yourself when you don't have a career in anything but know exactly what you're supposed to do, right? And that's the kind of visionary visionariness that we applaud and sort of masturbate to in all of our propaganda to ourselves about what we can do with our lives. But in actuality, there's no really well-established system, is there? And there's a lot of antagonism towards supporting arts. That's a whole nother episode. Did not mean to crank that can of words open there. Where was I? Oh, so fun, weird life, synchronicity, weirdness fact. There's a movie out there. I saw an abundance of movies that I had not seen, right? There's so many more. And I recently had a really fun conversation with someone that's a friend and that wants to talk about movies and that is considering maybe collaborating about a movie podcast. And actually, I'm always genuinely, authentically welcoming of collaborators who want to either figure out a way to be on a Zoom call together while I do the podcast, or want to trade audio clips. I kind of love the idea of just trading audio clips thanks to someone that I started talking with in that general vein. And there might come a podcast out of it, like a single conversations with episode. That's a part of my, I want to do that once or twice a month. Is have a really interesting in-depth conversation with someone where I ask probative questions and they answer their real thing. And it can be anonymous, whatever. My shows semi-anonymous, mostly because I think I really want it to be more about ideas than about personalities, I guess. I don't know. I'm making it up as I go along. What do you want from me? So, what the fuck was I talking about? Why am I staring at Peoria, Arizona? Oh, so my throat just locked up. Here was the linchpin. And I have this adversarial love-hate relationship with air conditioning. And it represents, and some people will not agree with this or want to hear it. This is one of those bitter, hard to swallow, I guess that works, hard to swallow pills about our postmodern society. Air conditioning in all its glory, in all its deluxe, appreciated, oh, thank God we have air conditioning, is literally the singular, most perfect symbol for everything that's wrong with the world and the way we operate it. Controversial, I know. We're going to put a pin in that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I stand very firmly. If I had invented the Fight With Me meme, that would be my only picture. It'd just be various, maybe just the one, because, the Plunger Instagram account works. Have you ever heard of that, you guys? There's an Instagram account where every day it's just the same picture of a plunger. Every day. And I've loathed this before. I hate it. If it gets more followers, great. Because I talk about it on my show, huzzah. But there's a trending of these kinds of accounts. But the one I remember hearing about the earliest and going, what the actual fuck? They have so many followers. And I bet you I'm not even going to say what I was thinking besides saying, but I'm envious a little and I need to work on that. But all they post is a picture of a plunger. The same image of a plunger. And it's like a clip art image of a plunger. So they didn't even make art. They just clipped art. They just Googled plunger, found one on a pleasant colored background that they really liked, and have been posting it every day for I don't know how long. And it gets 1 million followers, and I don't, which makes me sad. But actually, shout out to all my Instagram followers who stick with me. I noticed that a lot of people have been leaving. People will follow me and then not realize the range or spectrum of the thoughts and ideas that I post on there, and they'll find something to get offended about and leave. And that's just the way of the world. Until we can master truly just being authentically kind to everyone, irregardless of political opinion, irregardless of faith issues, we'll always have that. Apparently, Arizona, Peoria, I got a strong following there. It's the second most, 6.7% of all my audience is in Peoria, Arizona, and 10% of it is in Inglewood, Florida. Sorry about what I said earlier. Didn't really, my brain was, I would not draw those connections. Sorry, Florida, don't hate me. You probably already do. Where was I? I'm not even talking about what I meant to talk about. We're live, for those of us who still are. We've taken moments of silence, and I always humbly invite you to always consider that. Like, take a real moment of silence, not just for people you've lost, but for people the world has lost, because that's a heavy dose, man. That's like hard stuff. People are coping. And the reason it is helpful, beneficial to think of and emote certain compassion anchored feelings and thoughts is because you broadcast it, right? Especially if you choose to broadcast it. We can talk about that for days, and I have. But yeah, it's been a long, strange trip, my friends. And I venture to say that I think the rest of 2020 is going to get even weirder. One of the reasons is like in this weird journey of like my voice getting just locked out. And I'm already kind of feeling that push. Like I express myself too brutally. Oh, synchronicities, right? I'm talking about that. And my voice is locked out. In the middle of this weekend, in the middle of some insomniatic moment of like, oh God, I slept some weird long nap in the afternoon. Now I'm kind of up. Is there anything worth watching? And I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this movie. And I apologize for that because it was really interesting and I fell asleep in the middle of it and I really want to watch it again. Just wanted to share with that. But the weird synchronicitous part that made me kind of go, ooh, was that there was an audition about to happen. And it was literally like a battle of the voiceover actors. And there was all this behind the scenes montage stuff. And it wasn't full blown Eye of the Tiger moment, but close enough for comedy. And still being its own thing. And these voiceover actors are all like really serious. And I remember sitting there like really conscious of the fact that I'd blown out my voice just, now in recent times. And I'm watching these professionals do real things, like silly, absurd. Like if you were one of them in one shot, he's magically, I don't know how sometimes the timeline concerns in movies, you just don't ask, you don't worry about it. You just shoot the shot and you put it in there. But in like a public gym sauna doing vocal exercises and proto yoga positions. And I do absolutely none of that. And I'm a professionally trained theater practitioner, right? I can't boast of where I graduated from for technical reasons, but fuck the system, right? Isn't that we all agree on fuck the system? Okay, cool. So that's irrelevant. I literally went, for those who care to know, who don't realize it now, or have never caught on or haven't heard me rambling about my past, but I went to, I can't say it was a prestigious school, but it was a really awesome school that had really solid rankings in the world of theater. And I got trained by some lovely human beings who were professionals in the world of theater, right? And we did theater in a professional setting and a professional level. And it was wonderful. And I got trained twice because I went there for 2 tours of duty. And took all the great classes over again. Like an idiot. Because I still didn't take the 3 classes that prevent me from being able to proudly broadcast where I graduated from. Because I cannot say. It would be a lie for me to say, I graduated from so-and-so school. Because I didn't, right? Judge me. Woo is woo. However that saying goes. Woe is me. Cry me a river. My mother's rolling her eyes at me. Whatever intradimensional magical place that dead people go. But I haven't been doing any of that. And the worst thing is, and I've probably strangled myself on the air and talked about this, is that there's a terrible habit that when way back in the day, when I first started indulging in cannabis, recreationally, and kids, don't do it till you're old enough, right? Follow whatever local ordinances you're supposed to follow. Jump through the hoops. Don't be assholes and ruin it for all the rest of us adults here. Because, in truth, cannabis heals. And in truth, cannabis will take you on a personal tour of your own foibles and failures and remind you of what you need to straighten up, right? It's a deeply personal journey that it eventually takes you on. But you gotta let it work its mojo on you, and you gotta really come at it from a place of slightly more awareness than thinking of it as equivalent to beer. But I digress. I think I've already done a whole episode about that. I had this horrible habit. Hobby? No, a podcast is my horrible hobby. I had this horrible habit of loving to interrupt my own thought by like hitting a bowl and then finishing my sentence or continuing my statement while exhaling. Horrible for your voice. The worst thing you can do for your voice besides like gargle battery acid. Don't ever do that. Oh my God, I shouldn't have to. But in a world where people eat Tide Pods, don't do that either. In fact, you shouldn't be eating most fast food. Trust me, even I still love me a good Subway sandwich with spinach instead of lettuce and extra salt and pepper. Spicy Italian. But whatever, let's not go down that rabbit hole. What was my point? I wasn't doing any of the vocal warm-up work. And here I was, suffering the consequences and watching a movie where professionals were being very professional and funny about it. And you get a little cutesy insight into some of the nonsensical vocal warm-up work that truly smart people employ, because if you just straight talk all the time, you'll tear up your throat and you'll destroy your voice like an idiot. And I had a moment and I wept a little, like inner weeping of, oh God. And then I passed the fuck out. And I need to remember what are the two cable channels that I was watching? When I only have two cable channels I turn to for movies, right? And I'm grateful for that. I may not have them in 6 more months. And truly implement those things. Here I am confessing to you, having not done a damn one of those things today, except for drink tea and remind myself before starting this podcast to be grateful that I got my voice back, that my body understood the meaning of what was going on, and I didn't try to do stupid things through that or get mad or get depressed about not being able to do the show, etc. And yeah, as we move forward, we must be vigilant on so many levels, friends, including the innermost. And that's the one we neglect right off the bat. And that's today's little nugget of wisdom. If I had just named the show Today's Nugget of Zen instead of the Almost Daily Zencast, that would have been it. But anyways, I should probably stop talking because my voice hurts. As always, friends, thank you for tuning in and joining me for the thought experiment of rambling at you. Ideas I think are true. I'm going to go rest my voice for the rest of the evening and take a conscious effort to literally plan my morning tomorrow to include a thoughtful series of vocal warm-ups so that I can continue to ramp up my daily podcast and be with you almost every day. Until then, I wish you the best. I want you to take a moment right now before the show is over and check in with yourself. What part of your body have you been neglecting that needs a little attention and a little, homeopathic therapy and a little bit of love? I'm going to go, my mother, one of the many things she taught me was this delightful recipe for, I guess you can call it a Mexican, what's the original called? Hot toddy. So like a Mexican hot toddy, which I'm probably going to not go out and buy a whole bottle of tequila for right now. But the recipe does not require the whole bottle, but I don't have any tequila in stock. So I would need to get it. I'm not going to do that. But the Mexican hot toddy, for anybody, and this is great, some people swear that this will end whatever gross, living, virulent thing is in your throat that's trying to attack you. Others just say it makes you feel really good and should only be used as a nightcap, considering all safety considerations. But yeah, it's just 3 fat squeezes of the honey, so you got 1.5 inches at the bottom of the cup, 2 whole green limes, maybe 3, a shot and a half of tequila. If you want to do it really old school, you put it in a thick ceramic mug, and then that's tallish, and you put that in a smallish pan of water, and you heat it up like the gentle way. If you're in a rush and you think that's too complicated, you slap it in the microwave, and it's all dependent on your microwave. Start with 30 seconds and add another 30 seconds, and then you'll figure out, my microwave likes this at exactly 1 minute and 42 seconds, whatever it is. And then you just, a little bit of salt, just a little bit. If you got that margarita glass salt, take a sort of medium, don't get too fat with it, just a little bit of that salt. And after you heat it, right, stir. If you heat it up on the fire, on the stove top, you can kind of stir the honey and lime and the tequila. Some people like to wait, put the tequila in after you've heated the lime and the honey. I don't know which is better. I've done both. It works. And then salt right at the end. Just a little of that, like sea salt. But not the rock hard kind, because then you're just chewing on that. Like margarita heavy flake salt. And then you just sip on that shit and go to bed. That's probably what I'm going to do this evening, except that I probably don't have limes. And if I do, they are probably not in very good condition. But as always, friends, what was the point of today's episode? It's just that I'm back. It's been a weird year, and it just got capped off for me. The end of the first half, a little late, just got, what do you call that when you put a bow in it? You just got pegged right there. Not pegged, it's a terrible term. Just got, highlighted by a weird and interesting and deeply, I was afraid of. First of all, I have to admit, for a hot second there, I was like, do I have the coronavirus? Motherfucker. I do not believe I do, because I never once at any point felt ill. I don't feel sick. My voice just locked up and disappeared and then came back again. And I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen again. So I'm going to stop rambling at you now. Tune in tomorrow for some more politically oriented discussion about what the fuck is going on in Trumptopia as we stumble through what people are now calling the worst pandemic since the 1918 flu. That other people are calling a total hoax. It's a wild time to be alive, folks. That's for sure. Stay sane. Stay safe. Stay healthy.